Welcome back, folks. We're doing something a little different today. You guessed it, we got another viewer request. This time to explain how trick-or-treating became such a popular American Halloween tradition. So as you're planning your tricks and treats for this Halloween, you can better understand how it all started. Imagine a time long ago when the Celts celebrated Samhain, or I'll do my best to properly pronounce it, Samhain. This marked the end of summer and the beginning of winter. On October 31st, the boundary between the living and the dead became thin. Spirits could cross over. The Celts built huge bonfires to honor the dead and ward off spirits. They wore costumes and made sacrifices to their deities. This ancient festival laid the foundation for Halloween. As centuries passed, the Roman Empire, with its own vast pantheon of gods and goddesses, spread its influence across Europe. In an effort to bring the Celtic people under their control, Roman rulers attempted to suppress or assimilate many Celtic traditions. However, Samhain proved remarkably resilient. Rather than being completely eradicated, Samhain was influenced by the introduction of two Roman festivals. The first was Feralia, a day in late October when the Romans traditionally commemorated the passing of the dead. The second was a day in early November, dedicated to Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit and trees. This merging of cultural traditions laid the groundwork for the evolution of Samhain into something new. In the 7th century, the Catholic Church established All Saints' Day on November 1st. This holy day was intended to honor all Christian saints, known and unknown. It was followed by All Souls' Day on November 2nd, a day to commemorate the faithful departed. The placement of these holidays was no coincidence. The influence of All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day on Samhain was profound. The ancient Celtic festival, with its emphasis on spirits and the supernatural, gradually merged with the Christian holidays. This fusion gave rise to new traditions, some of which bear a striking resemblance to our modern Halloween customs. One such tradition was souling, which emerged in Britain during the Middle Ages. On All Souls' Day, the poor would go door to door, offering prayers for the dead in exchange for soul cakes, small round breads often spiced with cinnamon and currants. This practice, rooted in the belief that prayers could help souls in purgatory, became a forerunner to modern-day trick-or-treating. Another tradition that emerged during this period was guising. Young people would dress up in costumes, often as saints, angels, or biblical figures, and go from house to house. They would sing songs, recite poems, or perform short skits in exchange for food or money. This tradition, with its emphasis on costumes and performance, further shaped the developing character of Halloween. For centuries, Halloween, with its blend of Celtic and Christian traditions, remained largely confined to Europe. However, the waves of immigration from Europe to America during the 19th century, particularly from Ireland and Scotland, brought this celebration to the New World. These immigrants carried with them their memories of Halloween, sharing its customs and traditions with their new communities. Initially, Halloween celebrations in America were met with resistance, particularly in New England, where the strict Protestant beliefs of the early settlers viewed the festival with suspicion. However, as more and more immigrants arrived, Halloween slowly began to gain a foothold in American culture. The celebration of Halloween also varied greatly depending on the region of the United States. In the southern states, where there were fewer Irish and Scottish immigrants, Halloween remained largely unknown. It was in the northern and midwestern states, where these immigrant communities were concentrated, that Halloween found fertile ground to take root and grow. Throughout the 19th century, Halloween in America evolved, gradually shedding some of its more superstitious and religious overtones, and embracing a more festive and community-oriented spirit. The ancient fears associated with Samhain, the concern about restless spirits and the thinning veil between worlds, faded into the background. Games and merriment became central to the celebration. Bobbing for apples, a tradition potentially linked to the Roman festival of Pomona, grew in popularity. Telling ghost stories around a crackling fire, a custom echoing the ancient Celtic bonfires, remained a popular activity. Halloween parties, often hosted by communities or church groups, provided a space for people to gather, socialize, and enjoy the festivities. Yet, despite this evolution, the custom of trick-or-treating as we know it today was still largely absent. Children might have engaged in informal begging for treats, often reciting rhymes or singing songs in exchange for apples or nuts, but the structured, door-to-door tradition was yet to fully materialize. As the 19th century transitioned into the 20th century, Halloween in America continued to evolve. The Victorian era, with its emphasis on romanticism and sentimentality, had a profound influence on the holiday. Halloween parties became more elaborate, featuring intricate decorations, themed costumes, and festive foods. The Victorians embraced the custom of gift-giving, and this extended to Halloween. Children, dressed in costumes often inspired by fairy tales and literature, began knocking on doors, receiving treats like homemade candies, nuts, and small toys. This marked a significant step towards the establishment of trick-or-treating as a central Halloween tradition. Another contributing factor was the rise of mass-produced Halloween costumes and decorations. These commercially available items made it easier for families to participate in the festivities, further cementing Halloween's place in American culture. The Great Depression of the 1930s, while a time of economic hardship for many Americans, paradoxically played a role in solidifying trick-or-treating as a central Halloween tradition. With limited resources available for elaborate parties, communities turned to more accessible forms of celebration. Trick-or-treating, requiring minimal expense, provided a welcome distraction for children and a way for communities to come together during a difficult time. The tradition, once sporadic and informal, began to take on a more structured format, with children following established routes and parents accompanying younger trick-or-treaters. The phrase trick or treat itself, while with origins potentially dating back to medieval souling customs, became widely popularized during this period. It encapsulated the lighthearted spirit of the tradition, suggesting a playful threat of mischief if treats were not forthcoming. The end of World War II ushered in an era of prosperity and optimism in America. This post-war boom had a profound impact on Halloween, transforming it into the commercialized spectacle we know today. The focus shifted from homemade costumes and treats to mass-produced items. Candy companies, recognizing the commercial potential of Halloween, began heavily marketing their products for the holiday. Trick-or-treating, once a relatively modest affair, exploded in popularity. Children, armed with larger bags and a growing appetite for sweets, descended upon their neighborhoods in ever-increasing numbers. This surge in trick-or-treating also brought about new concerns. Parents and community leaders, aware of the potential dangers posed by traffic and the anonymity of costumed strangers, began implementing safety measures. Setting curfews for trick-or-treating, encouraging children to stay in familiar neighborhoods, and inspecting treats for tampering became increasingly common practices. As Halloween continued to evolve in the latter half of the 20th century and into the 21st century, safety concerns remained paramount. The rise of urban legends and sensationalized media stories, often unfounded but nonetheless unsettling, heightened anxieties about Halloween safety. In response, communities and law enforcement agencies implemented a range of safety measures. Organized trunk-or-treat events, where children collect candy from decorated car trunks in controlled environments like school parking lots, gained popularity. Teal Pumpkin Project initiatives, encouraging homes to offer non-food treats for children with allergies, promoted inclusivity and awareness. Technology also played a role in enhancing Halloween safety. Smartphone apps allowed parents to track their children's whereabouts while trick-or-treating, providing an extra layer of security. Online platforms offered tips for safe costume design, emphasizing visibility and fire-retardant materials. Despite the commercialization and safety concerns that have become intertwined with modern Halloween, the enduring spirit of trick-or-treating remains. For children, it's a night of excitement, a chance to transform into fantastical characters, and indulge in a bounty of sweets. Yet, trick-or-treating represents something deeper than just costumes and candy. It's a ritual that connects generations, a shared experience that unites communities. The simple act of knocking on a neighbor's door, exchanging greetings, and receiving a treat reinforces a sense of belonging and shared humanity. For adults, trick-or-treating offers a nostalgic link to their own childhoods, a chance to relive the magic and wonder through the eyes of their children or grandchildren. It's a reminder of simpler times, a celebration of imagination, and an affirmation of the bonds that tie communities together. From its ancient Celtic origins to its modern incarnation, Halloween has transformed. Once marking the end of the harvest, it's now a night of costumes, candy, and community. Trick-or-treating, rooted in ancient customs, shows the power of human connection. Sharing treats and smiles bridges divides and reaffirms our shared humanity. As the sun sets on October 31st, remember Halloween is more than a holiday. It's a celebration of history, imagination, and the enduring human spirit. Thank you all for joining me on this look into how trick-or-treating has evolved. I hope you found this entertaining and perhaps even educational. Thank you all for the suggestions, making videos like today's possible. Also, thank you to everyone who hits the like and subscribe buttons. Those simple actions help the channel and let us know you enjoy what we are doing. We'll be back tomorrow with another interesting story. Goodbye for now.